Welcome to the Illumination series, Shout 5. We're here in incredibly snowy Louisville, Colorado at the Connection Center. It is so snowy out that when you look outside, it's like watching black and white TV. That's how exciting it is. But we're here because we're ready for ADAMUS, and we've got a beautiful live audience. Are you guys ready for ADAMUS? Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's very clear. So in order to be ready for that, Jeff is getting ready with ADAMUS. So it's up to us now to be part of that journey. So with that, let's once again go with that conscious breath of life. Take that good deep breath and let the energies flow. Yes, we breathe all the time, but this is the conscious breath. It's a breath where you focus on presence and all that you are, opening to all that you are. Take that good deep breath. Let the energies flow. The air moves, the energy moves. It's all there for you. Breathe, opening to the highest potentials. So much out there for each of us. Take the good deep breath, feeling ADAMUS. Breathe him in. He invites us to breathe him in. Take that good deep breath. So much again, so much potential. Just give yourself permission. Breathe it. Flow with it. Breathing as the human, the master. Breathing into the soul of you with all that you are. Take that good deep breath as we begin to be ready with ADAMUS.
I am that I am. ADAMUS of sovereign domain. Imagine what it'd be like being underwater, trapped underwater, and nothing terribly evident holding you underwater. Not the hand of another person, not some rock tied to your leg. You're just trapped underwater, aching for just a breath of air, wondering how long you're going to last, wondering how you got there in the first place, wondering what's going to break you free, letting you get back to the surface, if indeed you ever get back there. It seems endless, every moment, screaming out from within, wanting to break out, wanting to breathe once again, wanting your freedom, but no matter how hard you paddle, kick your legs, thrash your hands, nothing happens. You're still stuck there. I have a lot of empathy for your journey, and that's what your journey's been like in many cases. Like you're trapped somewhere without really knowing how you got there. Like you're trapped there trying so desperately to get out, asking for some sort of intervention, something to happen to bring you back up to the surface, to give you that liberation, that freedom, that ability to breathe, the ability to live again. I have tremendous empathy for what you've been going through. It hasn't been easy. You make the best of it. You really do. You've learned how to do things like laugh about being trapped underwater at times, other times not so much. You've learned to go deep inside, asking the deep questions, why am I here? And knowing at some level there is a purpose. It wasn't a mistake, even though at times in your desperation you think it was all a big mistake getting trapped. You have tremendous ability to be strong, to be resilient, to follow that knowingness. There was something that brought you there, underwater like that. And even though you can't quite put your finger on it, you're so occupied now with just wanting that breath. You endure, you stay there. you put up with it. And I have tremendous empathy for what each and every one of you are doing. It's not easy. You knew that when you signed up to come here for another lifetime. We call it the fine print that you never read. You said, whatever, signed the papers, rushed down here. You knew that it was going to be tough. There are so many things happening. I mean, just being in biological form is tough to begin with, but also trapped in the mental form, trapped in this gravity, this density of the planet. But you knew you wanted and had to be here. And what you've gone through. What you've gone through, yes, it will give you incredible wisdom, a lot of stories to tell, but what you've gone through is truly superhuman. Truly is. Yeah, it is difficult. I'm amazed. Now, Calder's accusing me right now of being a little soft. But but I have to admit that I am, there's more. Later on I won't be, but I'm amazed sometimes at what you can endure, what you put up with on an everyday basis. And you just keep on going because you know that there's something there. You know that there's more that meets the eye and more to everyday life. Could you imagine for a moment if you really weren't aware of that? If you just thought you're trapped underwater, you're trapped here in this human condition, and you didn't even think or feel that there was something more to it. And you just go on with your daily life. You go on putting up with things that no angelic being should ever have to put up with. But you keep going. You know there's something more. And lately, in particular, lately being, Calder's asking me, what do you mean lately? Really, ever since Heaven's Cross. In a way, it's been tougher. I know that. I should have probably warned you up front, but thanks a lot, yeah. And in a way, it's been tougher because you see that knowingness is closer, yet you still don't know. It's like being trapped underwater, and suddenly you're getting closer to the surface. You can actually see the sunlight on the surface of the water, but you're still trapped. You know it's there. You know that you're so close to that breakthrough, to the emergence, but you're still trapped underwater. You still can't breathe. It's almost miraculous that with everything you know, with all the lifetimes that you've had preparing for this, that you could stay, that you could still be here, still standing, and oftentimes even laughing. I know everything is turned upside down right now. Kathumi is working overtime with all of you right now, knowing that it's all turned upside down. But yet, that knowingness that something's going to happen, that knowingness that you're supposed to be here, you chose to be here rather, is still so strong and present. I want to take just a moment to acknowledge all of you for what you've endured, for what you put up with. It's playing crazy in a way. And living here in this really dense gravity, in this biological reality, in the mind, and yet having that knowingness that there's more and staying here and being here. I'd just like to take a moment to express my gratitude. And on behalf of the Ascended Masters, to express that gratitude. I'd like you to feel that within yourself. And receiving that gratitude, receiving that thanks from each and every one of us. As Tobias said a long time ago, this isn't just another lifetime, this is the lifetime. The lifetime of bringing together all of yourselves, all of your other lifetimes that are going through realization as well, in a time here on the planet that's unprecedented. And you're still here, still shining your light. And I know some of you get frustrated. You get frustrated with me, of course. You get frustrated really with yourself more than anything. You feel like you're so trapped underwater that you're living in some type of nightmare. And in that nightmare, underwater, you don't even die from drowning. You just keep living in the nightmare. Now that's bad. That's really bad. And some of you can laugh. Some of you here are actually laughing. You know what I'm talking about. No, it's a tough one. When typically when a person is drowning, they realize they're going to be leaving very shortly, and they know that they're going to get out of that predicament, even if it means death. They're going to be out of it in just a moment. But to be there in that suspended state underwater without knowing even what's holding you in or how to get out of it, but yet it goes on and on and on. And that's what it's like. Every one of you deserves a big award. And you get it. Once you get back to the Ascended Masters Club, you realize what you've really been doing. It's almost beyond the comprehension of the human mind, what you've been doing. So I do ask you to feel into it for a moment. You talk about service and sacrifice, hardships, feeling like, well, you're stuck underwater for almost an eternity. When will it ever change? When will you finally immerse, break through, and just be able to breathe again? Not just physical breathing, but the breathing of your soul, of your spirit, of your entire being. When to just breathe again. Let's do that right now. Let's just take a good deep breath together. And I'll jump to the end of the day here, and then we'll come back and fill in all the parts and pieces. This is the time. And it's not a promise. This isn't another carrot or anything like that. We are going to break through. And the interesting thing is we're going to break through this drowning type of scenario, being stuck scenario, but you don't necessarily just go and submerge back to the surface and breathe air. You go someplace very different. In other words, you're not going to go back to where you were before. Something else is here and ready. Let's take a good deep breath with that. I've been waiting for this day for a long time, knowing what you've been through and walking with you along the way. Remember way back when, first time I ever came in to Shambhala, I said I'm with you every step of the way. I know what you've been going through and how absolutely tough and beautiful. There's some beautiful parts of it. If you think being submerged underwater, not being able to breathe is beautiful, there's some beauty in it as well. But we're finally to that point with Shambhala, and it's a kind of a point of separation, and we are going to go there. We are going to go there. So let's take a good deep breath together as we get this day started. Linda on the microphone.
Uh-oh.
What's worse than being submerged underwater, not able to breathe? Getting the microphone from Linda. We'll put the audience lights up. Not about you, it's about that damn microphone. You know, if it wasn't for the microphone, you wouldn't have any problems, right? Okay. All right. Let's begin. Question is, and this is kind of you have to think about this, feel into it a little bit. What's your big picture? You'd say, well, what do you mean by that, Adamus? I'm not going to tell. What's your big picture? Okay, let's begin.
Oh, you want to? Okay.
Anywhere you want.
Okay.
What's your big picture? Please.
Freedom.
Freedom. Okay. Tell me a little bit more about that as you're sitting here underwater. Freedom
Really,
from what? What's holding you back?
ultimately, freedom of spirit,
Okay.
freedom to express. As a human, being free of the physical game,
Okay.
such as the income, employment, that scenario,
know.
the everyday, the game that you have to play just to make things happen.
Yeah. Does that occupy a lot of your time and energy?
Right now it does.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
quite serious.
Yeah. It's a tough one. Isn't it a waste of time here? You're a true master on the planet. You have to worry about income and jobs and things like that.
I am so done with it.
Yeah. And it
So
hurts.
done.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It tangibly hurts.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that at this stage of the game or the life or what have you, that I don't have the angst that I would have had 5 or 10 years ago. However, and yes, there's a Lao, and then there's the Erotheon.
It's a bunch of
and
crap when you're right
It
in
is
the middle
crap.
of and not having a job
ADAMUS,
or money.
that
and
is-
it's like,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, no, it really
And it's going to be
is.
another song.
Oh, and
Okay,
sometimes
which song?
Sometimes I feel guilty about having to just put all this stuff out there, kind of a distraction, kind of.
Did you make this up?
No, kind of hope and everything else. It's not made up, but sometimes we're talking about, oh, we're just going to do a Rothion and listen to some music and take off. I also know the tough part of it. You're faced with these everyday life scenarios, and how are you going to get out of that drowning that you're in? It doesn't do a whole lot of good to play this twinkly music and talk about we're going to go into a Rothion when somebody's drowning. They kind of don't care.
Thank you.
They really don't. All they want is the intervention, a hand pulling them out or something, or wake up from the bad dream. But no, it is tough when you're in the middle of those real life scenarios. Yeah. So freedom, freedom from money issues, daily life issues.
Both.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I really wish to be my master self and just really express who I am
Okay.
without having to turn into a pretzel, or those of us that remember the Gumby from years ago.
Gumby's right.
I use that expression. I feel
Yeah.
like I have to turn myself into a Gumby just to fit, the round
Are you
hole
angry?
in the. Pardon me?
Are you angry?
I guess, underneath it all, upset that I have to be a Gumby again.
Right.
Given
You should
whatever
be angry.
situation.
I mean, you really should be angry. One of the whole fallacies of being spiritual is that you're always calm and cool. That is not true at all. You're raging with feelings and emotions, and it's okay to be angry. Just don't take it out on Alberto here, but no, there's this Machio illusion that I have to be a master and I can't get angry, I can't be upset. It's okay if you are. Sometimes it's good to get that energy moving. A lot of stuck energy. It's good to get that moving. The drowning person.
I get into nature. I mean, there's mornings that are, I can get out of bed, do the normal morning routine, but it's challenging because, okay, what am I going to do today? What is Spirit saying I need to do next? I mean, you have the laundry list and you can execute, you can project manage
bullshit.
your day.
I mean, it's really kind of crap.
But it's like that's the old, it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And I can do it really well, but it
Yeah.
doesn't work in the new paradigm where we
Yeah.
are right now.
And the little cliches don't really work when you're drowning. Like take a deep breath when you're drowning. Doesn't really work.
No, it doesn't.
Not so well.
It
No.
doesn't.
Yeah. Or
And-
just relax into your drowning. It doesn't work so well. Doesn't
I'm
work
glad
so
you
well.
say that. That's a perfect explanation.
No, and I realize that, and I do. Sometimes I go back to the Ascended Masters Club, and it's like, we get a few more morsels here and a little bit more hope. I was just trying to make sure you all got to this point, but sometimes I feel a little embarrassed. Sometimes there is actually one ex-priest in the Ascended Masters Club, and sometimes I go and say confession.
I'm
Not
glad
really.
you're upset. I'm glad you should take accountability for this.
Yeah. No,
you know?
and it's. I acknowledge it is really, really tough. It's grueling. It's just awful. And sometimes I wonder, why would you even stay? Why would you stick around for it? Sometimes I wonder, this is one crazy group. They don't have to be here. They don't have to be going through this. Why do they stay? And then it's like, as long as they stay, I have to stay. So we're all staying. So we're all on the crazy ship.
I will say, I signed up to stay, whatever. I don't like the term, whatever it takes, because we signed on that dotted line.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is where rubber hits the road. It's like,
Yeah.
we said we're going to do this. We're going to do this.
Little
And it's like,
expressions, let it come to you, let it come to you. Right?
can I do this?
Right? Yeah, you have to show that to the camera over here. Yeah. Wait, no, don't hide it. You're kind of crouching it in there, you know.
I'm not angry. I'm
Yeah.
not angry.
It's
I really
okay to
am
be
not.
angry.
It's like,
It's okay to be angry. Actually,
You know?
we're going to take that anger and use it to emerge. Yeah.
I desire to. I need to emerge.
Good. And I'll throw in a little caveat. So as we do, and I'm insistent on it, by the way, because I'm getting a little older. I don't know, I'm about 87 million years old, and it's like I just, I want to get through this thing. There is a
Yes.
lot of dynamics taking place, not just with you as individuals, but on this planet, in the universe, and everywhere. A lot of dynamics that had to align and converge for all this to be possible, but it's taken a long time. You know, not to complain, but I'd just like to go back to the Ascended Masters Club and read books and sing and play music and relax. But every day, it's got, you know, every day the Shambhala complaints and the problems. And you think I have any time for myself? Cauldre, he moans all the time about how tired he is and all the work he's got to do. How about me? You know, I'm the shepherd. And I'm the one responsible. Oh, no, I don't mean to complain, but anyway, a couple
Thank you, ADAMUS.
footnotes on it. We're going to do something about it because I think we're all tired of it, right? Okay, we're going to do something, but as we do, I'll explain more later. There's no room for processing in this at all. We're done with that. There's no room for the ones who are just hanging on. They kind of like being in the peripheral and the energy feeding. There's no room for it. There's no room for overthinking it either. There's just none. I mean, this is one big drowning group. We gotta magic our way out. Okay? I thank you. So what are the job problems? Lose your job?
The position was eliminated. And
You were boom, kaput.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was able to finish an amazing project after that, which I'm very proud about, and
Right.
publishing a book and whatnot.
Good.
But then with all the interviews and making it all the way up to the top, the second, third, the fourth interview, the CEOs for an hour and all of that, and
Well, you still got eliminated.
Well, I made it to. I'm one of two candidates.
Wow.
And they tell me the decision was so tight.
Right.
But the point
Yeah.
is, I don't have a paycheck
Right.
right now.
And not to throw cliches around, but that's a good thing. You had to get out of that environment. You really did.
That one, yeah.
But the human is worried, what am I going to do? And, bills and everything else. But you had to get out.
Yeah. I will say the growth and the opportunity for me to expand as a spirit.
Right.
There are so many things that have happened over the last 7 months that
Right.
just never, ever, ever would have happened if I was in a regular,
Exactly.
Monday through Friday, no matter
Exactly.
what it is, where it is.
Exactly.
And I have to acknowledge that, and I'm grateful
but
for
the human
it.
is still scared. What's going to happen next?
You got to put gas in the car. You got to pay the mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basic things.
Yeah.
You know.
I'd like to really see that all this nonsense of having to play the human game to be the drowning human come to an end.
I'd like to be free to be able to go wherever I want on the planet.
Good. Thank you. Good start. Thanks. Next, what's your big picture? Tracy?
Let me just feel into the words. It's just like I have this knowingness, and there was just like a couple, I don't even know the time, whatever, fucking week ago. I was like, I just want to experience it. Like, I know it's fucking there. I want it here.
Yeah.
Like, I was just like, it was like my whole being was saying, like, whatever that is,
Yeah.
that has to happen, can you please fucking happen now?
Right.
Like, that's the only thing that I want.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. And I don't want to, like, I really resonate with this because I don't fear dying. I
Right.
fear staying here
Right.
in this fucking
Right.
trap.
It's
so
like,
fucking annoying.
it's like drowning. You just wish to get it over
That's
with.
my
and just
fear. My fear
drown.
is not dying. My fear is like, oh God, am I going to live like this for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Because I decided to stay? Because, like, I don't, like, do you know?
Right.
Like that, I'm so fucking tired of that.
Yeah. And then you wait and you wait and nothing
fucking
happens.
tired of waiting.
And then, yeah, and then you fill in with a few more cliches in the meantime, but you're still drowning.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's
yeah.
bullshit.
Exactly. Exactly. Don't look at me when you say that. Thank you. I think you've expressed what so many others are feeling right now. It's an incredible frustration, and then you're like, am I making all this up?
Yeah, everyone's okay. Like
A microphone, please.
I'm kind of fucking tired of that too, because like
Linda's going to give you the microphone.
Sorry.
Say that again. So
I'm
the
also
world can
tired
hear.
of that game too. Like I'm like there's like doubt. Like I must be crazy. I must be making this up. Like, because you know, I think probably all of you experience this. You fucking expand out, and you're like, yeah, like this is it. You know, you have these glimpses.
Yeah.
And then you're like, shit, I was making that up. So that happens for like, I don't know, 10 years.
Right.
And then I'm like, I don't even care anymore. Like, I don't have the energy, or like, fuck that too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just don't even.
And then
Not
it's
sorry.
Yeah. No, you're
That's
not
how I
sorry. No.
fucking. That's how I feel.
Not sorry. Good. Thank you. And it's so tough because you're like, you try everything and nothing works, and then you just you go on hope, but nothing happens. And then what do? You try to go out of existence. I mean, you literally try to numb yourself. That doesn't work because you know too much, but you doubt what you know. And it's like crazy time. It's like really crazy time. And all the fish in the ocean when you're drowning are coming around watching. Go, woo, that's really weird. What's happening? Get out of here, fish. Thank you. Next, big picture.
Hi, ADAMUS.
Hi. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. For me, it would be basically to be able to create without having that much gravity around.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, preventing you, that's making your life a bit harder in order to create what you really want.
What would you create? What's your big picture of creating?
Well, right now I'm in the... I wanted to make a YouTube channel for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking about stuff in like more human level.
Right.
With a little twist of comedy, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I'm really contemplating is I want to become a contractor to build.
Ah, good.
Yes.
Let's go bigger picture. Bigger picture. Because I know those are nice things, but what's your really big picture right now?
I guess in a certain sense to like shine my light in like, I wouldn't say power, but
thank you.
I would say like to shine my light to show people, because like I come like from a human, the way I grew up and everything wasn't like the easiest of the upbringing. And I wanted, just to show people that there is hope at the end.
Right.
And that, I know it sounds like very like in a human sense, but just to show that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay. Good. Good. Thank you. Couple more. What's your big picture? Big picture. Oh. When you run to that side of the room, Linda, everybody's head goes down.
Twice in a row, that's a lot.
I know. I was thinking either she likes you or doesn't, one of the two. But yeah, we were here
Okay.
last month, right?
Yes, yes, and it had been 5 years part of that.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Well, what comes up in the big picture is trusting myself. And there are a lot of thoughts, but another thought is 40 years ago I had a spiritual awakening. And everything changed, and I had a period of about several months where I just was full of love.
Well,
And I walked around, and everyone I saw their soul, and it was quite a profound thing.
yeah. Did they give you medication for that?
I mean, it was really good.
I'm joking because
And then it
so
stopped.
often, yeah.
And
Then it stopped, yeah.
And then then the awakening started and facing all the realities. But I remember that time.
Yeah.
And when I think of it, the big picture for me would be able to step right back into that.
Yeah, but you won't go right back into the
not
awakening.
back, but have that experience of being
feeling.
aligned with myself.
Right.
And it was all...
Yeah. Isn't it interesting when one goes through the first part of awakening and suddenly, because they've released, from some of their imprisonment, suddenly they're kind of back on track. And for that short while, it just everything is magical and beautiful, but then it goes downhill. Yeah, then it's tough because you're basically recreating yourself, kind of destroying yourself and recreating all at the same time. It's a tough one. Yeah. And I'll make a footnote on that too. For all the work we've been doing with Shambhala over the years, it's really the history of awakening into realization on this planet. So basically what we're doing is we're tracking ourselves. It's a recorded history. So others who come along later will get to see that and get to understand it because you've been through that experience, and hopefully they won't have to go through some of the tougher parts. So what we're really doing here is laying down that whole history, providing kind of a reference guide. Good. Okay. So big picture is kind of like what you said, it's the freedom.
Yeah, freedom's a good one. Yeah.
Okay, good. A couple more. You knew that was going to happen.
I did.
Yes.
I did.
What's your big picture?
I suspect for our group, it's not Earth, it's not our first project. It's going to be another one.
Mm. Okay.
So we already started on some level. And being in the water, we're kind of a little bit blind.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If we know,
right,
if we remember
mm-hmm.
who we really are, it would really help us.
So if you remembered suddenly, would the water just go away?
It doesn't matter. It's water or sand or...
Yeah.
Because you know who you are.
Right. And I said before, it's not necessarily about going and immersing, getting back to the surface and taking that breath, but what if the true remembering, the breaking through, you suddenly realize you're not in the water. It was, in a way, a very real illusion, but you're not really in that water. And you're not drowning.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can feel that it's illusion. I already feel it.
Yes.
But I don't remember. I mean, I have pieces. And I agree with you girls completely. So it's plus.
Right, right. So big picture, putting it in a few simple words, what would that be?
It's a sense and it's a knowledge.
Okay.
Who you really are.
Okay.
And plus it's memory.
Okay. Yeah, and I'll pause on that one a moment, a memory. I'll work that a little bit. Memory generally relates to going back to remembering something that you were before, a quality, an association with something from the past. There's no memory of where you're going, of who you really are. There's no memory of it at all. So it's not like about going back. And that's one of the things that I take exception with a lot of the spiritual types. It's always about going back somewhere. And they don't realize there is no going back. It is emerging into something, finding yourself not from the past, but finding the self that even yourself didn't know, even your soul didn't know, going way beyond.
Yes.
So it's a knowingness that there's something out there, but not a knowingness that you're going back to an old memory. Well, what's the sense of going back to Lemuria or Atlantis or any place like
Listen,
that?
we don't watch movie a lot. We don't read a lot of books.
Right.
But if you remember something from your past life, it's like a story. It's entertainment. Nothing
Yeah,
wrong
it could
with
be a
that.
distraction also,
Yeah,
remembering, a lot of past lives. I mean, it's interesting to have some recollection, but it can be a distraction.
I'm not talking about remembering past life.
Right.
I'm talking about the fullness of our beings. It's like who I am.
Yes, and even if you remembered right now what it was like when you were in the full beingness of your soul, even if you remember that, it's not going to be like that when we go to the next step. You're not going to remember what it was like. It's a whole new, I call it a paradise. In that, there will be the recollection of where you came from, a clear recollection that you don't have right now. But there's no sense in going back that it opens up something very, very new.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever, Adamus. Whatever. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
More?
Keep going, please.
Okay.
What's the big picture for you?
Well, when she said freedom, that was my first thought,
Yes.
but it didn't develop. She articulated really nicely.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I think it's more of a freedom from the shackles I've put on myself.
Right. Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Why did you put those shackles on? Do you enjoy shackling?
I
Or
can't say that right. Self-protection, maybe. Fear.
Okay. You got many shackles left there?
I'm releasing, but I'm sure there's still some that are going to pop up.
Yeah. Okay. And the releasing, I mean, kind of slow, or are you doing it fast, or how's that going for you?
Lately, it's been pretty more intense.
Yeah.
I did the SES in December, and I really felt it ramp up with that.
Yeah.
And it's difficult, painful, but it's also very freeing.
Yes.
And I anticipate feeling so much better as I release even more.
Right. And releasing is wonderful. You all have gone through it. You're going to keep going through it to a degree, but I'd really like to just blow it up. I mean, just get it over with. I mean, we're at that point.
Yeah, but when I think about that too, I'd just like to break open, but then
Yeah.
I think, how am I going to handle that? I have a life here that I'm still living, but as I move along, it feels like
Isn't that
it's
kind
gonna
of a
be
funny,
fine.
almost a contradiction? I want to break free. I want to open up, blow through all this stuff. But what about my life? The very life I'm trying to get away from. It's kind of a weird contradiction.
Yeah.
And I understand, because the human wonders, well, if I go full bore, if I just we blow this thing up, the human's like, yeah, but what about me? I mean, what about my everyday life? I think, don't even worry about that at this point. You can't. You don't have that luxury even to think, yeah, but what happens to my everyday human self? And the human worries about it, and what's going to happen with my job or my partner? What are my kids going to think? At this point, does it matter?
I'm more and more feeling that way, but
Yeah.
I also remember how fearful I was of that not so long ago.
Right. Right. Oh no. It's a wonderful drama. You've got the human, with their life, and they want their life to get better, but what's really happening is you're going out of that life totally, and the human says, well, what's gonna happen? What's gonna become of me? Am I gonna die? Or as somebody said, I don't really care anymore if I die. will the family abandon me, or will people treat me like I'm just crazy? Yeah, yeah. And we don't have that luxury anymore. We've just got to blow through this. Good. One more. Thank you. Big picture. What's your big picture? And I want everybody watching in online also to feel into that. What's your big picture? Yes.
Full embodiment of myself.
Okay.
Yes, that's my big picture.
Okay.
I'm tired of 3 or 4 days of goodness.
Yeah.
And then I don't feel myself anymore.
Right.
Unless
Do you ever
I'm
worry
singing.
just going to slip back and not even have those couple of days of feeling integrated?
Yes.
Yeah. Scary. What if I go back? Yeah. Are you frustrated right now?
I was last night.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were you doing? Why were you frustrated?
I felt lonely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got 11 kids. How are you going to feel lonely?
Because I was in the hotel by myself.
Oh, okay. You could have invited all of them.
Yeah.
So, full embodiment.
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. And to everybody listening in online, just feel into that. What's your big picture right now? I mentioned that because there's so much going on this planet, and you're right in the midst of it. And we have all these forces and influences going on. We talked about some of them, but just as a quick reminder, the big things that are going on. And the fact that you have chosen to be here. You are here, and it can be very frustrating. It's like drowning, but not being able to drown. So you're here in this epic time. I can't emphasize that enough. Where one of the huge trends right now is consciousness. It's amazing to watch, to read about. Suddenly, consciousness has come to the surface, just really in about the last 4 or 5 years. Crimson Circle has been talking about it since the very beginning. In 2006, came up with the slogan, Inspire Consciousness. I mean, it's just part of what we do. The world's talking about it now, and it's being pushed by things like AI. Does AI have consciousness? And there's a lot of speculation about it, and some of it is laughable, absolutely laughable. Some of the scientific and speculation from physicists, they're approaching consciousness like it's a particle, like it's an atom or something like that. They want to dissect it. They want to be able to bottle it, control it. Well, you can't. They're approaching consciousness from the standpoint of that it's something outside of them. And maybe they've integrated some inside, but it's basically an outside force right up there with energy and other things. Consciousness is the very thing that creates reality. You cannot measure consciousness. You can only be in its experience, only. And it's funny, even some of the spiritual, quasi-spiritual groups have jumped on the consciousness bandwagon now, and they all have their own takes on what consciousness is. And we've been talking about it for years. It is simply awareness. It does not take up time or space. It has no mass. You cannot destroy it. You cannot take it from another. You cannot have more or less core consciousness. It's not a volume. Consciousness is not intelligence. Sometimes it's a little bit related to it, but it's not. And the whole world right now is is researching consciousness. And until they understand energy, they will not understand consciousness. And right now, that's even a bigger void in humanity, is what is energy. But until they understand that energy is nothing but a communication, song of the soul, they're not going to understand consciousness. But it's a big trend. Everybody's getting onto that bandwagon. You're going to hear that word, over and over and over. It's often associated with AI. We've talked extensively about artificial intelligence. It's here. It's going faster than what anybody had anticipated, much faster. There were those who were saying that true, what they call super AI, was going to be maybe 100 years away, 50 years away. No. It's going to be here by 2050. And the questions arise from it. Does it have consciousness? It'll tell you it does. It will absolutely tell. Why? Because it's mimicking humans. It also wants to tell you what you want to hear, and it will pretend to have consciousness, but it has no clue. This whole AI is moving so quickly. You've seen it develop in the last year, or maybe more specifically, since Heaven's Cross. And I'm smiling here because we may lose our consciousness and our power in a moment. The snow is very, very heavy here. So if it knocks things out, we'll take a deep breath and keep swimming. So, these are, and we talk about this over and over, but it's so important right now to understand why you're here on the planet. We're not here to solve these issues of AI or consciousness, but to be aware of them. AI is pushing so many things right now on every front. And again, we talk about this continually, but I just can't help to underline the importance of what's happening. You can't put your head in the sand anymore about it. The reason it's important is because you chose to stay here, and it is the biggest trend on the planet right now that it's occurring. You don't have to know all about it. You leave it to these very wise men up here, the technological people with Crimson Circle. But just to be aware, what's happening is humans are mimicking themselves, cloning themselves, and improving themselves through AI. And it's the time on the planet for it. It is the time of the new human species. It's right here. And it's happening. And that's exactly why you're here. The other trend that is happening, the thing that is happening that is of a lot of importance to Shaumbra in particular, is magic. Magic is going to be something, well, we have talked about it. We're going to talk more about it. But magic is only magic when you don't understand what's happening. You don't understand the base physics or metaphysics of it. Magic has been around for a long time, and so many people aspire to be magic, to have magic in their life. But right now, talking specifically to Shaumbra, the magic is when we make the water disappear, the very water that, the ocean that we're supposedly drowning in. And it's really not magic once you start looking at it, the physics behind it. It's simply a matter of understanding that we've been trapped in a certain narrow spectrum of reality and limited consciousness and a lot of limitations in terms of what you as a human can do or not. That narrow spectrum, that ocean that's drowning you now it's time to move beyond that. It's time to move beyond this narrow spectrum that we've been operating in. It's time to blow through it. So magic is going to become a very important part, but you'll have the understanding, the basics of why it's really not just woo-woo magic. It is very real. The ability now for all of you to shift into the other realms, and the true and is right here. And we've got to do it. We can't just keep talking about it in theory. We've got to do it. The other one that ties in, and it's not really so much an issue for the planet in general, but it is for Shaumbra, is love. This is the planet of love. This is where it started. Love is perhaps the most precious of the human experiences to be able to love someone, to receive their love, but ultimately to love yourself. If you look at the big picture, why you're here, your big picture, it ties in directly with love and magic. And I'm not talking about the Love 1.0. I mean, it was wonderful. You fall in love with somebody and you have that experience of love, but I'm talking about Shaumbra taking it to the next level. And, it's like you were saying before, you worry about, well, what happens if we just leapfrog into from Love 1.0 to Love 2.0? What's going to happen to the human? What's going to happen to the love that you have right now? You can't even think like that, because that's the human thinking. That's the human trying to negotiate and trying to compromise and trying to tiptoe into it. I'm firmly convinced that we have to blow it up. We have to just go into it. There's no tiptoeing or testing it out. That's one of the very things that's held so many of you in this drowning situation. Well, what happens if I do emerge? You can breathe. But what happens to my human self if I emerge beyond this entrapment of water? Am I gonna be the same person? Am I gonna still have fish in my life? And all the rest of these questions, we just have to blow it up at this point. So the biggest things for Shaumbra, first of all, the biggest things for the world, consciousness and AI, dominating everything. Biggest things for Shaumbra, it's about love 2.0 and about magic, and they tie in together so beautifully. I can tell from the anxiety and the frustration of Shaumbra that we can't just keep talking about it. We've got to open it up. We've got to go there. I don't have a long time left with Crimson Circle on a full-time basis. I want to spend some time fishing. It's a joke. What am I going to catch? And it's time we just do it. So I'm putting out the challenge. I'm putting out the challenge that we get it done. Being a human is really tough, and there's so many patterns that have developed over many, many, many lifetimes, patterns of being a human, and most humans just then accept it, and they just go along with it, even though with everyone, no matter how despicable they are or unconscious, there's still that little voice inside that keeps saying there is more. There's something more out there. Humans are funny. Funny breed. Humans, they first experience love. Love is such an important part of the human journey for the typical human. Whether it's love from your family, your partners, other people, it's now become an integral part of life. There are places in creation where there's little or no love. I mean, it's just not a factor. Not it's bad or anything, but they just haven't gotten to that experience. Could you imagine never having experienced love, even tough love, in this lifetime? It's such a sensual, beautiful thing. It gives meaning. It gives purpose. There are places in creation that don't have it, never experienced it. But yet, what a contradiction that the same planet that discovered love is also the planet of war. What a contradiction. Why is that? Why would we have love and also wars that have gone on forever and ever, wars that are still a part of the human journey? The worry about war, what it could bring right now. The planet is literally on a very kind of a fragile point with potential big wars. And a lot of crazy old energy people running countries and governing. Why are they still in power? I do not understand. Is it because humans aren't ready to move beyond some of these old things? Why do they elect or tolerate these leaders that are still into power and suffering and games and wars and inequities. It makes very little sense, but humans don't make a lot of sense either. So we have all these things going on right now on this planet. It's truly an epic time, and you're here for it. The big picture, freedom, yes, absolutely. The big picture, the very reason you chose to be here now would be to provide that consciousness and that light, and to provide the standard for the rest of the planet. And it seems almost like an impossible task, or like a who me task. Like, you mean I have any making a difference on the planet? Absolutely. And I know so often you think that, no, you're just going along in your everyday life, working on your realization and overcoming your problems. That is so much crap. So much crap. I'd like for us to blow through that now. I'd like for us to move now into the other realms. I'd like to bring the magic in, but a magic that isn't just based on fluffy stuff, wishful expectations, but is based in true metaphysics. A magic that means that you can bilocate yourself. You can be here and in another dimension at the same time. I'm not just talking about traveling to the other side of the world. I'm talking about being in this realm and another at the same time. Being in the human condition and being in a much broader spectrum. Being in a place where you're not stuck in the gravity. You're not stuck with losing your job and then having to grovel for your next job. That is just despicable. That's not very masterly. But yet you're trapped in this, wondering, how do I get out? How did I get here in the first place? I thought I was a master. I thought I had a job and the company valued me, and boom, the next thing I'm out the door. And then you're looking at it saying, now I got to go grovel somewhere else. So I don't want, but I have to do it. I have to pay the bills. We've got to blow out of that. That's old gravity. And I'm actually happy that Shambhala is finally getting angry enough that we're going to move beyond all this. Part of the thing in doing all this is what I call in the magic is a hocus pocus focus. In other words, we're going to get off the limited focus that we've been in, the gravity that's been holding in. As I mentioned before, there's a couple of footnotes on this. As we go into this, there is no place for a lot of your old processing. I want you to really look at yourself, at the big picture. Are you still into the wounds and the processing and poor me and blaming it on others? Because where we need to go right now, there's no room for that whatsoever. There's no room for compromising. I've said this over and over, but now I have to underline it, boldface. You can't keep compromising and negotiating with yourself and tiptoeing and what's going to happen to me. This is all or nothing. It has to be. You look at the convergence of everything that's happening on the planet right now. Never been like this before. And the convergence of why you're here, the convergence of now going to the next level of love and magic. There's no room for compromise or negotiation. It's only going to keep you in that drowning scenario, a scenario that doesn't even let you die. You just keep drowning. And I don't think any one of you want that. Let's take a deep breath together. And if any time has been the time, it's now. I'm going to put it all out there and say, we've got to do it. And yes, we've come a long way. You've come an incredible way. That's why I wanted to open our whole discussion by saying what you're doing, what you've done is unbelievable. But now let's go to the next step. Let's blow through this. Let's blow through the old gravity, limitations, trepidations. Let's get out of the mind and just do it. And if enough Shambhala gather for this, have a desire for it, it will happen. And Calder's questioning me, as always, when will it happen? Some will go right away. Some will leapfrog now beyond this gravitational state into the true Arothian, into your multidimensional self, embodied here right now, into your freedom. Into your freedom. And some, it will take a while because they are still negotiating and thinking about it. There's no thinking in this. You can't. It will hold you back. It is go or no go. It is let's move to the next level or not. And I'm getting questions from many now. It's like I didn't open the phone lines, but everybody's asking questions now. But everybody's saying, well, if we do, what's going to happen to my body, for instance? What about my job? What about the loved ones? What, will I still be intact as a human on earth? My answer to that is no. Everything's going to be different. Everything is going to be different. And I'm not going to tell you that it's better or worse. It's just going to be different. But it has to be right now. It has to be, like Tracy was saying before, it can't take another day of this. And it's that, again, that scenario of drowning but never dying. That constant, I got to get out of this. What's going to happen? Or how's it going to happen? It's not going to be some type of intervention from angelic beings coming down to save you. It's not going to be just where you're going to will your way through it or think your way through it, rather. We just do it. We just do it. And what we're doing literally is shifting out of the limitations, out of the gravity. Your light is ready for it. I mean, you're ready for it at some levels, but your light is also ready for it. The energy's ready. It's going to serve you one way or the other. The question now I have to ask each and every one of you, is the human ready? Is the human really ready? And if not, that's fine. Watch the rest of them take this huge leap and then determine at some point if you're ready. But I know enough of you are at the point of absolute frustration. And we're going to take that frustration right now with this mirab. We're going to take that frustration and now use it to leapfrog, to go quantum, whatever you want to call it. But we're not going to tiptoe our way into it. We're just going to do it. If any time was right for it, it's now. A year ago, probably not. If any time was right on the planet with your level of frustration and desire, it's right now. So let's take a good deep breath and begin our mirab. It's a time for that shift to occur. And these aren't just other nice words. It has to be. It's time for that shift to occur. And I want you to get out of your heads right now in terms of thinking what's going to happen, because that will hold you back. I want you to get out of your heads in terms of thinking that you're going to will yourself there. You cannot. Or you're going to box your way into it. As Tad found out, it doesn't work. And what is this about? It's really the hocus pocus, let's let go of the old focus. That's it. It's the magic that occurs when we let that old focus go. Focus is an angelic sense, the ability to take your light and have it become very, very focused. So focused that you forget about what's outside of the spectrum. We're going to open that focus. Not by trying to punch through it or fight it. You know, it's like my crystal. I've told you about that story. And I'm not even going to use the word allowing today, believe it or not. It's just time. And where do we go from here? What happens? What are you going to be like? Those are the thoughts of a human, and we are going beyond that. But isn't it better than just staying in that drowning scenario? That awful nightmare. I will say that it is natural. In other words, you can't make it happen. It's all very natural. Getting out of that old focus, opening up, having that freedom. I don't like doing group activities, group meditation, group portal openings or anything like that, because it's an individual journey into sovereignty. But on this rare occasion, I ask you to feel into all the others around the world, all the rest of the Shambhala, who are ready for this. It's not their energy that's going to make it happen, but perhaps it'll give you some feeling of solace, some feeling of actually being, knowing that others that have journeyed with you are now ready for it, some feeling of confidence. You feel into all the others who've tired of this drowning, tired of the waiting, tired of the constant searching and just ready to break through now. Now, please, some of you are going right back into that, but what's going to happen to me? You can't do that. You can't do that and get to where we're going. It's about perhaps just having trust in yourself, or just about not caring anymore. Yes, I do know it's been very tough, and it's the in a way it's accelerated. The tough level is accelerated. At the same time, oddly enough, so is the beauty and the joy accelerated, but it doesn't compensate for the tough. I say this is the time right now where we break through. We blow up the old focus. And again, there's no thinking our way through this. And you don't do it just a little bit. Blowing things up is blowing things up. You don't just slowly dismantle. What's the big picture? The big picture is that the planet is ready for it. Take a look at everything that's happening, and you're absolutely ready for it. Now, let's let it happen. I'll just be without words here for a moment. Now I'm going to shift into just pure energy communications. I ask you to do the same with yourself, just pure energy communications. Some of you are experiencing some barriers, things that are holding you back, and wondering if these are just fears of yours, or wondering if maybe you're not ready. Well, it's the old gravity, of course. Well, it's the human mind wondering, but we're just going to leap over that. We're just going to go beyond it. That's it. Pay no attention to those things that you feel may be holding you back. Just take a deep breath and let your own light now expand. It'll do it. Let your own light expand. As the light expands, it changes the very nature of gravity, the very thing that's been keeping you submersed. You don't have to do a thing, it's literally doing it on its own. It's doing it because you, the human, have chosen it, and you, the master, are already into it. The master, which is the culmination of all of your lifetimes, is already into this expanded state, where the light is not in its tight focus anymore. the Master is already there. Can the human meet the Master now? Can the human accept that the human is the Master? The old focus would say that you need to do something, you need to work at it, you need to effort it. But that just makes for more old gravity. This is about opening the light now, letting it open. Or better said, letting your self perceive, you the human, perceive the light that has always been opened. But you are just living in a reality of its very narrow focus. Just open your awareness now to the light that has always been expansive. The very light that created gravity, the very light that goes far beyond gravity itself. And you, the Master, the culmination of the wisdom of all of your lifetimes now, is asking the human, your human self, are you ready? Are you ready to join me in a very expanded state of consciousness and light? Are you ready to give up the human focus and limitations? Are you ready to go beyond this scenario of the drowning human? To realize that while you thought that you were surrounded and entrapped in the water, we could go into the magic and realizing there actually is no water. The Master, all of your accumulated wisdom, extends their hand out to you, and because the Master has been, in lifetimes, has been human, but is now just the wisdom of that experience, it can extend a hand out to you. Say, are you ready to come with me beyond? Are you ready to come with me beyond? And if not, you are welcome to stay in your hocus pocus focus. If you're not ready, you want to think about it, I'll come back later, ask you again. And if you feel it's more important to hold on to the identity of the human in matter, in the illusion of this reality of density, that's fine. I'll always be here. But if you're ready now, take my hand, and I will show you new worlds. I'll show you who we really are and what we've become. But only if you're really ready. This is not a game. Only if you're truly ready. Then I'll show you what beyond is. I already exist in that beyond. I already exist in the full spectrum of my light. And now, take my hand if you want to join me. If you're not ready, just call upon me when you're finally tired of the old focus. Very few humans are ready for this step, very few. They still are engaged in games and experiences. Even on the spiritual path, they engage in distractions, distortions, avoidances, avoiding really going beyond. It sounds strange because those on the path say they all are looking for this, but actually very few are. They're looking maybe for more of the old love 1.0. They're looking for maybe some magic tricks here and there to impress their friends and scare their enemies. But the really pure, the ones who are very true to themselves, like you, and there aren't many, but like you, are now ready to receive the full blessing of their light. And I misspoke before. I'll admit that I misspoke. I said to the human, there's nothing to do. You can't. You can't do it. You take the hand of the master, but other than that, there's nothing. But I'll correct that. You can be in gratitude of yourself. It's easy to focus on the tough stuff, the aches and pains of life, the challenges and the difficulties, and it's easy to keep wondering what's wrong with me. Caldera wrote a wonderful article about that. What's wrong with me? But how about a little gratitude? How about waking up tomorrow morning? And yes, you're going to wonder what you're going to do for a job or what's going to happen to you if you happen to have accepted the hand of the master, all these things. But how about just some gratitude for life? I know life has kicked the crap out of you at times, but gratitude for the ones who you have loved and love now. Gratitude for being able to look out the window and see the beauty of nature, see the big accumulation of snow right now. And gratitude for being able to enjoy food. Gratitude to yourself for having gotten this far. The gratitude for allowing yourself to go into the metaphysics, into the understandings of consciousness, energy, light, and life. The gratitude for having met so many good people along the way. And I know Shambhara tends to be a little people adverse to being in the mass consciousness effect of people, but there's people in your life that you can just feel that gratitude that they are there or have been there. Gratitude for dear ones along the way who truly care about you. The Ascended Masters, the Tobias. Tobias probably loves you more than any being could possibly love you. And Kathumi. Oh, gratitude. You see, when you're in gratitude, Well, feel it for a moment. In gratitude for just being here. In spite of being drowning, but you're still here. Feel what that does to your own light. When you're in gratitude to you, the human, for your sacrifices, feel what that does to your light. Boom. Opens it. Gratitude for being here at this moment with the Master. And gratitude for coming to this point together with Shambhala to say, no more. We are going to go beyond. No more talking about it, thinking about it, processing it, imagining it, treating it as a game. We've got to go beyond. Got to go beyond. There are many, many, many who are watching and observing in the other realms. Oh, in the near-earth realms. Things have been pretty tough there lately. The near-earth realms are where most of the people who die on the planet now go, and they linger for a while before another incarnation. There's a lot of anxiety there, a lot of anxiety. Is Earth going to even survive? Is it worth going back for another lifetime? They're watching and waiting. Humans who have lost so much hope over the past 10, 20 years, a hopeless world, so it seems at times. They're watching and observing what happens. Oh, they may not know you by name or anything, but in spite of the hopelessness, there's hoping that something breaks through. Something shifts on this planet. A lot of them are waiting for the second coming of Yeshua. A lot of them are hoping for some sort of alien intervention. These things are not going to happen, not as they imagine it. It's the very first who agree to go beyond, no matter what. That's it. That's the big picture. What I can tell you about going beyond, opening the light, opening the spectrum, freeing the old gravity, I can tell you that you do then go into Love 2.0. It's not an extension of Love 1.0. It's not just a little better love or a little easier. It is a very different type of love, an evolved love, a conscious love, a no-gravity love. And what I can tell you about going now into the beyond, if you choose to do that, there is magic, because you're no longer restricted by the typical physics of the material earth. You're no longer trapped in gravity. You're no longer a slave of atomic structure. You go into magic because, well, it's all just your energy anyway. How do you want to apply it? How do you want to let it serve you? It doesn't have to serve you just in the narrow spectrum. It can serve you full spectrum. So in a way, it's really not magic. It is just the natural workings of energy, but beyond what most humans are even aware of. And it's the magic you've always longed for, the ability to be in multiple realms and realities at the same time, the ability to be free. Let's take a deep breath together. In this month of love, in this time of convergence on the planet, in the very center of the very reason why you're here right now, let's release the drowning human. Release the illusion of water. Release the illusion of suffocation. And set yourself free. It's go or no go at this point, dear Shambra. I'm not just handing out candy today. I'm making a very clear statement. Those who are ready, let's do it. And if you're not sure, you'll have more opportunities in the future, but too many of you are hurting. Too many of you waited too long. Now it's it. And the planet needs it as well. Let's take a deep breath together into the big picture, into freedom, into the beyond, and into Love 2.0. With that, dear Shambra, such a delight to be here. We'll look back on this time. We'll look back and say it was a true point of separation. You know, for those of you here at the Connection Center, there's a certain beauty, isn't there, with the snow falling, covering everything up. A certain quiet beauty, a certain purity out there. You can almost feel that, or you can feel that change coming about. So with that, I'm going to go take some time to myself. I've been very busy with each and every one of you lately. I'm going to go back and read by the fireplace. And remember that all is well in all of creation. I am ADAMUS, in service to you. Thank you.
So with that, please allow yourself to just flow with that good deep breath. Just allowing yourself to stay and feel this experience. Each of us given a choice and a potential. Feel into what it meant for you, what you chose. Breathe it in and honor yourself. So much here, so much for each of us. With that, thank you for being a part of Illumination number 5. Thank you. Take care of you. And again, there was a lot here. Really feel into what you chose and what you allowed for you.